Test, test. All right. Let's see if this. I'm trying to see if my levels are correct, and it does appear that they are. So that's cool. At least I think that. All right. I'm going to test the tech. Hello, if you can hear me, I'm going to be silent just for about 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Hello, everybody. I just need to grab my glasses. See, I went to the eye doctor to get glasses because I had trouble reading, just small print in front of me. And they said, okay, it's because your age. And I said, okay, fine. But I had went to the Philippines, and it was over that year that quite often I would read by candlelight, which I knew was a bad idea. Just I had no other option. So then, as soon as I come back, I had this close up problem with my vision. So I'm going to blame the candlelight as well. But hey, who knows? But anyways, that's just a long story to tell you that I need to find those. All right, I'm back. Yeah, that's true. I tell you, you shouldn't read in low light. At least that's what I learned, of course. But I learned it the hard way. I tell you what, if anybody has anything to ask, go ahead. Otherwise, I was just gonna. I haven't made a video in a while because I really have nothing to add, and I was trying to think to myself, what can I do that I haven't done already? Meaning that it's when you're trying to show somebody a specific point that never changes. All right. So the goal is that you get this person's attention long enough for them to understand that if they give up fighting, i.e., if they stop with their ego, they will then allow the truth and the light of Christ to show them that path, that narrow path, because you can never see it otherwise, right? It's invisible to you. So once you see that, then you're on that path and things change. But then you're completely brought out of a world, but left in the world, man. So what that means is, so when Jesus prays that when he's taken out, that although those that follow the truth of Christ, and that's not just a man, you're not following a guy walking around, right? It's the spirit and truth of Christ, right? The truth that he brought, the witness that he brought. Should you do this, you will get that. All right. So what do you get when you look at somebody who says a witness? If somebody says you will get this if you do that, what do? You can test it. Okay. So if I then return to God naked, saying I don't know anything, I'm yours. I give up. Show me the truth. And then you are given life, meaning you are given new life. Right? However, you are born free in Christ, but you're here in this world. So you're still stuck. You're still stuck with all these people out there that think all of this nonsense around them is real. They think that these schools are being shot up every other day. They didn't think to themselves, okay, let me look. And there's one hoax going on today, and then there's another hoax going on this other day. And if there's a gap in those days, well, they have to fill it with something. The school hoax kind of like, it's an old standby now. It's almost, I don't know, there's an old saying, long in the tooth. I was kind of thinking, if I was going to write this, the school hoax is kind of getting long in the tooth. They need to start doing YMCAs, start bringing that back into vogue, right? Because it doesn't matter. It's all one and the same story being retold, whether it be during the history hoax, the war hoax, all that nonsense. You either have an idea of an active country on country fighting each other for some reason, right? Like these people are mad at each other and they're out on these open fields shooting at each other and bayoneting each other and all this nonsense. Doesn't happen. Period. If anybody tells you that they did, they're liars. So then you understand all this is actual fact. So you now know what is true and what is false, but you are now stuck here. So then, as I tell you, all you can do is preach the truth, which is through Christ you are given life, and you will return to the Father in heaven, meaning that you have been given a way out of this place. At the end, your light, what some people call soul, will not just be forgotten, meaning it just won't go up what's called Jacob's ladder. And if you know what a Jacob's ladder is, if that spark is going up Jacob's ladder, at the top of Jacob's ladder, at some point that spark dissipates and it goes away. So if that energy is not captured before it dissipates and goes away, it is then lost into space. So then who do you think captures your spark when your physical existence ends? It's not you. Because I'll tell you what, you left in a room for 3 days in a bucket, you produce nothing worth talking about in this conversation. So it's not going to be you that saves yourself. Right? Just so we get that clear. I don't know so, sorry about that. Hey, Scott, how you doing, man? Hey, Scott, do you remember, I was just thinking about when we ran into each other in LA. Do you remember that place, the LA Adventure Hotel? So anyways, yeah, Scott, he's in the chat room. I met him in LA when I was down there at I was going to a gaming show down at the LA Convention Center at the time. Because at the time I did work in video games, making levels for stuff. And Scott shows up in his Mercedes, And that brown Mercedes, I think it's in some of his older videos. Anyways, Scott I met on YouTube through doing videos, and he's become a good brother in Christ. I love him. I love him a lot. So I'm glad to see you, Scott, man. So great to see you. So anyways, I was thinking about, what is worth it in this place. So and then Scott shows up. See, that's what's worth it. Those few true connections that we know are real. Like I know Scott's real, because we witness to each other. So now I know that connection is real. So then you're not alone, although you may be lonely at times in this place, but you're not alone. And that's it. The times that you have no one physically to talk to, of course, you just pray and you get comfort from God. You get comfort from your Father. And what that comfort means is you get revelation, meaning that your mind is filled with truth. Therefore, you're able to understand things. So then you're able to walk around and look at things. The ground you walk on, now you understand it. If you understand the ground you walk on, well, now you can actually then explore and witness to other things that are true. Do you know that most people you run into have no idea or they will not truly witness to the ground they stand on? Everything that they do in their existence depends on that ground, and yet they cannot describe it properly because they haven't even taken the time. And by taking the time, I mean taking the time to stop long enough to observe and listen to the truth of Christ. And that is through the Spirit of Christ. And that is through the true light of Christ. And that is put into your temple. And that is what is between your ears. That's your temple. That's why they call it temples. Then the truth is shown to you. You observe it. You know it's true. I can now witness it to somebody. They can then observe that it's true, because the truth is not dependent on you, because the truth is there regardless of anybody's noticing it. It doesn't need to be noticed to be true. It is. God is. Now, I'm very excited today. I don't know why. I get on these things. Hey, Nick, how you doing, bud? So, yeah, all this hoax stuff, everything. Let me tell you about kind of this idea of the Mandela effects hoax and all this stuff. Luckily, I have a very good memory. I have a memory going back very young. So I can recall certain real events happening, and I grew up in Los Angeles. So I was around, let's say, for the Olympics, 84 at the Coliseum there, all that type of stuff. So I remember kind of these ideas as they've been pushed, and it's almost like an organism, meaning that if the injection that's put into the system starts to ebb, then the next one will be pushed into the system, or the next fake story. Do you understand? So then you have this idea of currently, because it's always run through this time loop that we're in, you have the idea of the Russians, or the Russians did it, or the Russians are going to get you. But if you look back through, into the 60s, the Russians were just off, in Cuba going to get you. And if you go back to the 50s, they're beating the the soulless shoe on the podium saying, we're going to get you. Yeah, okay, enough already. How many times do you need to do the, look into the flower and get squirted before you realize you've been hoaxed? All right, man, I tried to show that. I did a video called 9/11 Echo, where I tried to show people that the 9/11 is the echo in time, meaning that if I bring down your understanding of time, then I get to rebuild your remembrance of that time. Because most people can't remember before 9/11. That's like their mind stopped for some reason. They don't recall how society was at the time. And even prior to that, how society was in the 70s, because a lot of people didn't witness it. And there's no movie and no book or anything else that can give you that witness. I can tell you stories until my eyes turn red, and you still will never actually witness that time because you didn't witness it in true person. And that's fine, but you have to understand that, so that you then take, if I'm going to go ahead and witness to time, meaning if I'm going to witness to an event at a certain point in time, I need to take the evidence that this place offers as being true. All right. So I take in the event of history or war or all these different hoaxes, I take what they present to me as being true. And I observe it just as I observe a pond or a tree. And I observe it for the truth of its matter. And I find it lacking. I find it lacking the truth of a matter. Do you see what I'm saying? So then once it becomes untrue, I discard it. And then I tell people, I will tell anybody who will listen, I'm going to say, hey, listen, I have great news for you. You no longer have to concern yourself with this. You can take it out of your temple and you can cast it to the ground, and it will shatter and no longer be a burden to you. So then that temple between your ears becomes nice and clean because it's swept clean of all these lies that men brought you. Right? Like I say. And then as long as the only light that you allow into your temple to enlighten your truth is that of Christ, you're going to be just fine. All right. But let me tell you something about this very simple thing. You can always overpower it with having and I'm going to say a word now, but I don't want you to overreact to it. An unholy concern. All right. If you have an unholy concern for something, it can bring your earthly man into emotion, whether it be down or up or whatever, if that makes any sense. So please understand that you still have full interaction with this existence should you want to. I mean, i.e. free will. But you're going to find that you just died again for no reason. You died again for a system that you knew was a lie. All right? All right. The true light of Christ brings the true life, meaning the water, right? Everlasting water, right? So anyways, that's what I have to say about that. Now the idea about the skylights. Now, if you read, and very interesting about Genesis is just today, I wanted to find out where people went, how easy or when did people just go wrong? So if you go back to Genesis and you read Genesis chapter 1, and it's going to go through the creation. Here's the truth of the matter. As it turns out, the sun, the moon, and the stars have always been lights. They are there from the beginning, right? They are created by God. Right? It turns out that they are to be used for times and seasons, meaning that you can tell what day, what month, and what part of the or time of the year it is. Seasons, by looking at your calendar over your head, because it was put there for that purpose. All right, because you don't go in a spacecraft to travel there because there is no space. You don't land on a light. You can't land on a moon because it's just a light that rules the so-called night. All right. So then all of that NASA stuff you can now take, put into a nice hefty bag right now, drag it out of your temple and throw it forever. Cast it to the sea because it's no good. All right. So now that's out of your temple. Look at all that space cleared out. Because you have to understand, when you take a lie and you cast it out to the sea, you have to take everything else that is connected to it. It all goes with it because it's all tainted. So don't waste your time with it. Man, so you've done a lot today. You took all that war nonsense and chucked it. You took all that space nonsense and chucked it. You took all the stuff that deals with war and chucked it. That means all that so-called political angling and ambassadors going to and fro, settling each other down. It's all called stagecraft for a reason. Do you understand this? Now, let me tell you this, that they actually call it stagecraft right in front of you, and people didn't get it. It's all a big clown show. Yeah, nobody died, nobody got hurt, man. All right. And that's important to understand. Let's say when you say nobody died and nobody got hurt on 9/11 by a terrorist attacking a building with planes. And if you say otherwise, you are a liar. All right. And if you bring that into a room, you are a spiritual murderer. Why is that important to say it that way? Because no matter what, even if some guy walked on that and stubbed his toe and says, I got hurt, well, you didn't get hurt by what I just said. And by what I just said is what the official story claims happened. And that's very important to understand. Words mean things. Yes, they are. They're worshipers of death. Do you understand? This is very important. Do you understand that they put on the news so that the first thing you hear is darkness? When you're getting ready to go to work, the first thing you hear is darkness. And when I'm in violence, so you are brought into the temple of darkness from the first early morning, and then you go to work. And if you're stupid enough to talk to people at work that are in that same darkness, because you then bring on your own death, you then wallow in that darkness, and that happens to you day after day after day. So then how then do you observe and bathe in the truth and the light of Christ if you are continually wallowing in the mud? Huh? You can't serve two masters. You were told that. Why is it that you were told that? You were told that because it's true. That's why. So anyways, guys, I did have one other thing I was going to bring up today. And funny thing about that whole Genesis thing is I was looking through it for the exact instant that man decided to go to war against God and his creation, meaning, okay, herbs bearing seeds, fruit bearing seeds of its kind, going, and then later in Genesis 1 saying that all of these, the herb bearing seeds and the fruit bearing seeds shall be used for your meat. For your meat, that means your food. That means for your consumption. That means not to be trampled on by man or regulated by man. Yet they stand arrogantly in front of everybody, and let me tell you something. It is so corrupt. And let me also tell you, this is very important to understand, that there's nothing we are here to do about it. We are not here to do anything about it because it's not our fight. All right? Our fight's against powers and principalities, something completely different. However, I'm just telling you this. If we are to observe a system that taxes a creation of God, then that's a proof of a fallen system. I'm not quite sure you need any more proof than that if you are a so-called follower of Christ. And you just don't say that with your lips, but you actually say it with your heart. So then you look at a system where they've taken a creation of God, the creation of life itself, and they put a tax on it. They've overstepped a bound, all right? They've put themselves above God, all right? But that then allows you to see the system for what it is, and then tell yourself, why will I ever be fooled by this system again? Why would I ever do that? See? That then allows you to come out. So then the few times where you do allow yourself to go in, it is to take people out with you. It's like, hey, let me tell you something that's true right now. This, that, and this. And then you tell them, I'm telling you this right now so that you cannot say you didn't hear this before. All right? That's all you can do is tell them. Let that ring of truth enter them. All right? Because everything is tone. My tone, the tone I'm using right now, is to express something to you. Because I'm hoping that through my tone that I impress upon you its weight, right? So when people have a tone against you that is dark, you also then feel that, right? It's all about tone and tune. All right. That's why when you understand and you are in the truth and the light of Christ, and then you encounter a story which does not have the ring of truth in it, you see it for what it is instantly. And people say, how can you say it's this so quickly? Well, I see it. I can see it right now. I can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and express to you my witness by seeing it, because this is what they're presenting to me, and they're asking me to witness to it, right? Because if it for some reason falls before my eyes or into my ears, I have to then either keep it in my temple. If it's true, I have to keep it there. But if it's false, I need to dismiss it immediately and with extreme prejudice. And that is why when they put a story out, I instantly see it. Or if I even hear it, if somebody's in a line at a store and I can't help but hear it, because I don't have that service in my actual living space. But it's like you can't help with people talking and everything. So as soon as I hear it, I stop. I said, did you see that? And are you witnessing to that death? You personally are witnessing to that death. I need to know that, because I need to know who to look at and who to say on that last day, that person said that it was true. Because I'm not going to say it's true. Because I'm going to say nobody died and nobody got hurt. Because that's what your so-called proof shows. Because there is no truth in your proof. Yeah. Well, astronaut, the fact that the not's in the word gives it away, man. They're not that's what's funny about words, man. The truth is in the words. It's always right there to see. Just reflect on it. Why is it called reflecting on something? Because it's using a mirror to it. All right? You're reflecting on it. You're actually taking the time. And here's what's very interesting. Time is your only commodity. That is the only thing that you have control over. And that is why when you go against the law, when you go against the tone of the community, they will take that from you. Right? Right? You're doing time. All right? Because time is your only commodity. So as you're out here, you then you go ahead and show people. You be that light that they say, why is that guy different? Let me go talk to him. And I'm going to tell you a few things. And then I'm going to go say, why don't you go off and you go test that? And you're going to see if it's true or not. Because it has nothing to do with me. All right? I'm just letting you know a truth. Now you go test it. Because unless people test this, they will never see it. All right? They need to go, like I say, when I say return to God naked, they need to get so low. And this is from my personal experience, so I'm only saying for myself. I had to get so low to the point of wanting to end it, to where that happened to me, meaning that I gave it all away. I said, I'm ready to go. It's all BS. I know it, but I can only see through it darkly I can't quite see it. I know it's not right, but I can't quite see why. And that's when you're seeing through that dark, that glass darkly. Well, Christ gives you the light and clears it away, and you see it for what it is. You see that what people like to say, the man behind the curtain. You see it. And then what is so interesting is in for the name of Christ they will mock you. Oh, that Jesus guy says, the moon's just a light. Well, no, I'm just telling you what it is if you go outside and witness. And if you actually pick up this book you claim to follow, right? I'm putting air quotes up. And if you actually read what it said, I'm actually only saying the same thing. And as it turns out, when you test it, it's true, right? So I can't make up truth because you get to test it. Man, so yeah, so that's that. So, anyways, and it's been fun chatting. I got to head off and do a few things. All right. All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Nick, and everybody else who came through. Because I wasn't able to look over to who else was in here? And of course, Scott. And there's a few others. All right, guys. Oh, and then Jacqueline. Hi. Talk to y'all soon. All right. Cheers. Bye bye.